Bahrain is one of those countries that can look almost invisible on a world map, yet its importance is much larger than its size suggests. Officially called the Kingdom of Bahrain, it is an island country in West Asia, located in the Persian Gulf near the eastern side of the Arabian Peninsula. It sits between Qatar and the northeastern coast of Saudi Arabia, connected to Saudi Arabia by the King Fahd Causeway, a bridge that has become one of the country's most important physical links to the wider region. Bahrain covers only about 760 square kilometers, making it the third smallest country in Asia after the Maldives and Singapore. But within that small area is a country shaped by ancient trade, pearls, religion, empire, oil, finance, migration, and modern Gulf politics. Bahrain is not just one island. It is an archipelago made up of 33 natural islands, along with dozens of artificial islands created through land reclamation. The center of this island chain is Bahrain Island, which makes up around 80% of the country's total landmass. This geography has deeply influenced Bahrain's history. Being surrounded by water made it a natural maritime hub, tied to fishing, pearling, trade, and naval movement. Its location near the western shore of the Persian Gulf placed it close to the major powers and trade routes of Arabia, Persia, and South Asia. Bahrain's small size also means that urban growth, infrastructure, and population pressures are felt intensely, especially around the capital, Manama. Manama, Bahrain's capital and largest city, is the country's political, financial, and commercial center. It is where many of Bahrain's modern ambitions are most visible: towers, banks, hotels, shopping districts, government institutions, and waterfront developments. But Manama is not simply a modern skyline. It reflects Bahrain's long role as a meeting point between cultures. For centuries, the islands attracted merchants, divers, sailors, migrants, and administrators from across the Gulf and beyond. Today, that legacy continues through Bahrain's diverse population and international economy. While Bahrain is small, its capital functions as a regional business hub, especially in banking and services. Manama's growth shows how Bahrain has tried to turn geography into opportunity. Long before modern Bahrain existed, the area was associated with the ancient Dilmun civilization. Dilmun was known in antiquity as a trading civilization connected to Mesopotamia, the Gulf, and the wider Indian Ocean world. Bahrain's location made it a valuable stop for merchants moving goods across sea routes. Archaeological evidence connects the islands to burial mounds, settlements, and trade networks that reach back thousands of years. This ancient heritage matters because it shows Bahrain was not a marginal place. It was part of one of the world's early commercial corridors. The same strategic position that later made Bahrain important to empires, oil companies, and banks had already made it significant in the ancient world. For much of its history, Bahrain was famous for pearls. Its pearl fisheries were considered among the finest in the world, especially before the rise of cultured pearls in the 20th century. Pearling was not just an industry, it was a social and economic system. Divers, boat owners, merchants, and families all depended on the seasonal harvest from the sea. The work was dangerous and physically punishing, but pearls connected Bahrain to luxury markets far beyond the Gulf. This pearling past helped shape Bahrain's identity as a maritime society. Even after oil and finance transformed the economy, pearls remained an important symbol of the country's heritage and its older relationship with the Gulf waters around it. Bahrain was also one of the earliest areas to be influenced by Islam during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad. Islamic influence reached the islands in the 7th century, around 628, placing Bahrain within the early expansion of the Muslim community. Over the centuries, the islands were ruled by different Arab and regional powers, reflecting their strategic and commercial value. Bahrain's religious history remains important today because the country has a Muslim majority, but also a complex sectarian landscape. The ruling Al Khalifa family is Sunni Muslim, while a significant portion of the citizen population is Shia Muslim. This religious composition has played a major role in Bahrain's politics, identity, and tensions in the modern era. Because Bahrain sat at a crossroads, outside powers repeatedly competed for influence over it. In 1521, the Portuguese Empire took control of Bahrain, as part of its wider effort to dominate trade routes in the Indian Ocean and Persian Gulf. Portuguese rule lasted until 1602, when they were expelled by Shah Abbas the Great of Safavid Iran. These changes show how Bahrain was pulled between maritime empires and regional powers. Control over Bahrain meant access to trade, pearls, and strategic waters. Later, in 1783, the Bani Outbah and allied tribes captured Bahrain from Nasser al-Madkur. From that point, the Al-Khalifa family emerged as the ruling dynasty, with Ahmed al-Fateh remembered as Bahrain's first hakim. In the late 19th century, Bahrain entered a new phase through treaties with Britain. Like several Gulf sheikdoms, Bahrain became tied to the British imperial system, not as a colony in the classic sense, but as a protectorate under British influence. Britain was interested in securing maritime routes, limiting rival powers, and maintaining stability in the Gulf. For Bahrain's rulers, British protection offered security in a region shaped by tribal rivalries, imperial competition, and economic uncertainty. This relationship lasted into the 20th century and shaped Bahrain's institutions, diplomacy, and external orientation. The British period was one of gradual transformation, leading eventually to a modern state with formal independence. Bahrain declared independence in 1971, the same year several other Gulf states were redefining their status after Britain's withdrawal from the region. At first, Bahrain was an emirate. In 2002, it was declared a kingdom and became a semi-constitutional monarchy. The ruling Al-Khalifa family remained at the center of political power. Bahrain's constitution also states that Sharia is a principal source of legislation, reflecting the role of Islam in the legal and political order. Like many Gulf monarchies, Bahrain combines modern state institutions with dynastic rule. It has parliaments, ministries, courts, and elections, but political authority remains heavily concentrated within the monarchy and the ruling establishment. Bahrain's population is one of its most important modern features. As of 2024, the country's population is about 1.59 million. But less than half are Bahraini nationals. Around 739,736 people, or 46.6% of the population, are citizens, while about 848,934, or 53.4%, are expatriates. This means foreign workers and residents make up a majority of the people living in the country. This demographic pattern is common in wealthy Gulf states, where labor migration supports construction, services, domestic work, finance, hospitality, and infrastructure. But it also creates a society with sharp distinctions between citizens and non-citizens, each with different rights, economic roles, and long-term security. Economically, Bahrain is often described as one of the first post-oil economies in the Persian Gulf. This does not mean oil stopped mattering. Oil revenues still make up a significant part of the government budget. But Bahrain had smaller oil reserves than some of its neighbors, so it moved earlier toward diversification. Over decades, it invested in banking, finance, tourism, and services. Many major financial institutions established a presence in Manama, helping the city become a regional financial center. Bahrain is recognized by the World Bank as a high-income economy. Its economic story is therefore about adaptation, using oil wealth, strategic location, and regulatory openness to build sectors beyond hydrocarbons. Bahrain's modern politics have also been shaped by protest and human rights concerns. In 2011, during the wider Arab Spring, Bahrain experienced major demonstrations calling for political reforms and greater rights. The protests exposed deep tensions between the ruling establishment and parts of the population, especially among Shia communities and political opposition groups. The government's response drew international criticism, and the ruling family has been accused of violating the rights of dissidents, opposition figures, and members of the Shia population. These issues remain central to how Bahrain is viewed abroad. Behind the image of a stable financial hub is a more complicated political reality involving monarchy, sectarian identity, security, and demands for reform. Internationally, Bahrain is small but deeply connected. It is a member of the United Nations, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. It is also a dialogue partner of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. These memberships reflect Bahrain's position as both an Arab Gulf monarchy and a participant in wider global diplomacy. Its closest regional relationships are tied to the Gulf, especially Saudi Arabia, with which it shares the King Fahd Causeway and major political and economic links. Bahrain's story is ultimately one of scale versus significance, a tiny island kingdom with ancient roots, strategic waters, a globalized economy, and a political role far larger than its physical footprint. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.